I got to start with Ben on this one because we know how he feels about this. Do you believe, Ben, the stronger cars and the unlimited, yes, unlimited overtime rule on the road course present a problem? Or is this more of what Kyle Busch said of a lack thereof respect in the garage?
Well, I think you and I need to do a follow-up on that roundtable because I know you and I have differing opinions on NASCAR overtime. But in all seriousness, I think it's a combination of everything. It's the culture that's been manifested over the last several years in this sport. It's the double file restarts that inevitably fan out 5 or 6 wide. I mean, what do you expect is going to happen with 2 laps to go? 2 laps to go, which ultimately became however many laps we ran under caution. When the drivers are trying to get every spot they can because they know that the race is almost over. I don't know. I think that it's a combination of everything at the end of the day. I don't think we would have seen as much chaos if we'd had single file restarts like we did many, many years ago. We certainly wouldn't have seen as much chaos if we just ended races under caution like we did many, many years ago. But I mean, it's beyond the point of insanity what we did today. I mean, to sit there for, I don't even know what it ended up being, 35, 40 minutes, it felt like, and have overtime after overtime after overtime. The winner didn't change at the end of the day. The best car still won. So congratulations. I guess at the bare minimum, we did get the green flag finish. I know at the Daytona 500, we couldn't even get that because they wrecked on the white flag lap anyway. So then what's the point there? You want to congratulate Kyle Busch on his Daytona 500 win in the tweet that he brought up. It's a shame it wasn't 1998. Not a personal attack on Matthew Dillon or anything. I've got a great amount of respect for the work that he does in media for this sport. But he sent a tweet out following the race that said, "I lived the years of races ending under caution. Snooze, green, white checkers rule, period. The alternative sucked," and then sucks as well, as in it would suck if we went back to it, I suppose. I don't know. I feel like today kind of sucked. It sucked just sitting there waiting for the drivers to be able to get to so much as run one clean lap to take the white flag. It sucked seeing so many good cars get torn up there at the end. It sucked seeing the lack of respect out there, and it was very, very frustrating for me as a viewer to be sitting there, as we went through the caution periods, and particularly at a track like COTA, which takes long enough under green. How long does it take under caution to complete a lap? So I think I understand playoffs are here to stay. Stages are here to stay. It's a different era. We're probably not going back to pre-2004 or whatever. But at the bare minimum, can we at least compromise and agree we're doing one attempt, no more, no less? And if we can't get it done in the one attempt because there's not enough respect out there, then we're just going to call it a day, because this was absolutely ridiculous. And as I said in a video I made a little over a year ago, it is still the absolute worst way to try to end a race, because sometimes we can't even end a race through the overtime period because they wreck on the white flag lap anyway. But I'll get off my soapbox. I'll hand it over to Amanda now.
Yeah, I don't know. I think today, at the end, it got to be a bit of an exhausting watch for sure with the unlimited overtime rule. But I think I do appreciate the stronger cars, and I think that they do their job. I think that what needs to happen, and this might fall along the line of what Kyle Busch was saying with the lack of respect, is just and there needs to be an adaptation in the way some of these drivers have been close racing, and learn how to leave space and not send it into the side of another car. But yeah, I don't know. I'm a little bit undecided, but I'd have to agree that at least for today, the unlimited overtimes was a bit tedious, and I think I'd be pretty upset if Tyler Reddick didn't come out on top after that, because he definitely deserved it, and he did a great job holding on for so long.
Definitely. And I think the more I watch these overtime finishes, what we see, I think the more I start to agree with how Ben feels about them, is because I've always been a fan of ending the race under the checkered flag. Unfortunately, a lot of these overtimes, and Adam Lemery says, preach it, Ben, he'll agree. I think Ben made some great points. I think you made some great points as well, Amanda. I like it, the idea, but I mean, I'm sitting there with my mother watching the race, and a caution comes out. I'm like, okay. And then another caution. I'm like, why is there 12 cars wrecked in turn one? And then another caution. I'm just like sitting there like this. Do you know that song? I don't know if you do. This is the song that doesn't end, it goes on. I felt like that with the race. And I know I've tweeted it before. I don't know which race it was, but where the overtime just keeps going and going. So definitely, I think NASCAR should at least explore the change of the idea, or the idea of the change. I don't know how they do it. Maybe limited again one. And I was hoping, I really was sitting there on the edge of my feet, hoping one of the guys in the Fox Sports booth asked Gunther Steiner how he felt about it. Because I don't know if he felt too wonderful about it, but obviously coming from the Formula One Haas F1's team principal, obviously their races end straight under, if a safety car comes out on lap 55 of 56, the race is effectively over. So I pretty much wanted to hear what he was going to say, but I'll throw it back over to you, Ben.
Yeah, well, and you know, we had two F1 world champions in this race today. You know, what do you think? How do you think Jenson Button feels? Like, welcome to NASCAR Cup Series racing, Jenson Button. I mean, the thing is, and Gunther being in the booth today as well, you bring up a great point with that, Matthew. There's a saying, cautions breed cautions. Obviously, we heard that on the Fox broadcast today as well. That saying doesn't exist in Formula One. There is no safety cars breed safety cars. You know, I suppose every so often, you know, we see, you know, a safety car immediately followed by another one, but we never see the insanity that we saw towards the end of the race today, because when Formula One cars restart after a safety car, it's a single file line. The leader decides when to go in a much larger restart zone, and they have opportunity to space out. And so they're not all crammed together, double file, all on top of each other going into a tight turn one on a road course. So, you know, I think that brings up another good point here. Maybe NASCAR could learn from a different motorsport series and say, maybe we can keep the overtime rule, even though I would be in favor of ditching it, obviously. But maybe we can, again, have another compromise here by keeping overtime. But if it's under 10 to go or something like that, we go to a single file restart. We space them out a little bit more on the restarts, particularly on the road courses, and we go from there. And hopefully, I would think that would lead to at least a lower % chance at seeing the chaos that we saw today. I also found it kind of amusing. This will be the last point, then we can move on. Kurt Busch being in the booth, not even knowing that the rule is currently unlimited attempts. I suppose we could have had 7 if we needed it. But he was like, okay, we're coming to the third one here. This is it. This is, you know, the final attempt we're going to have. And he didn't even know what the rule was. And I can't blame him when he, you know, had his reaction and said, are you kidding me? You know, we're going to do this as many times as we need, because it just gets so tiring. And honestly, they probably should have thrown the caution on the third one as well. I think the control tower and everybody at COTA just decided we want to go home. But I think if what happened in the back of the field on overtime number 3 happens on lap 7 of the race, I think they throw the caution almost immediately, because there were cars that were torn up that were probably spewing all sorts of debris on the racing surface there. So again, just a comedy of errors towards the end of the race, but we've got more show to get to, so I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, definitely. I think maybe a cool thing, just quickly, I promise, to base it off that, maybe just do one time, but start at the white flag. I know people sometimes encourage, say, maybe let's race it all the way back to the line if there's caution. I don't like that idea, though. I really don't, because of safety. Maybe on a road course it might be different, but I don't like the idea of, if the front of the field wrecks, the guy in 25th has to race through that. I don't like that. I like when the caution comes out. So I'm just throwing out random ideas. Overtime line, probably not. Let's ignore that idea. But yeah, just to touch on that quickly.
To follow up real quick on the white flag. You know, that's something that ARC has done in the past, and I think particularly on the super speedways, I mean, sometimes it takes a lap to, you know, just so much as get up to speed. So I don't know if that's enough time to, you know, have a if you're going to do it, you might as well give them 2 laps so that you can, you know, set up some sort of finish there. I don't know that 1 lap's enough time. And then, you know, Formula One fans, I think, certainly still have some painful, disillusioning memories from Abu Dhabi a couple of years ago. So, you know, that's another motorsport example there that you can throw in. But I wouldn't be a fan of that either. I think, obviously, not a huge fan of overtime, generally speaking, but if you're going to do it, I would give them 2 full laps to get up to speed and try to set up a finish that way.